When asking ourselves how we should combat bias in media, we first need to think about why this bias exists. More often than not, media bias results from financial conflicts of interest. One of many examples of this was during the 2003 invasion of Iraq when MSNBC canceled the anti-war Phil Donahue show out of fear it would, quote, become a home for the liberal anti-war agenda at the same time that our competitors are waving the flag at every opportunity. At the time, MSNBC was owned by NBC, which was in turn owned by General Electric, a corporation that received $2.8 billion worth of defense contracts from the Pentagon that same year, a clear conflict of interest. To combat this, many people suggest increasing funding to public news media like PBS NewsHour. This makes sense because, theoretically, public news should be independent from the corrupt conflicts of interest of corporate media, but in practice, public media can be just as biased as corporate media. For example, during the 1999 bombing of Yugoslavia, only 8% of PBS NewsHour sources were critics of the bombing, while 45% of sources worked either for the US government or military. The reason for this is that PBS NewsHour, of course, relies on government funding, so it's hard for them to be that critical of the government that pays their salaries. Another way to stop bias would be to regulate and break up media monopolies in order to ensure a diverse array of viewpoints and to give smaller independent media a fighting chance. That was the duty the FCC was created to fulfill, and did until an era of deregulation began under the Reagan administration that continues to this day. In recent years, this deregulation has led to some estimates that 6 corporations control 90% of US media. A recent example of media consolidation is the attempt by Sinclair Broadcasting to buy Tribune Media, which would allow Sinclair to broadcast to 70% of Americans. Furthermore, research shows that media consolidation leads to a decline of about 25% in the production of news in districts where one corporation dominates media ownership. This picture showcases the damaging effect media consolidation can have on the narrative presented to the public and why it's necessary to break up these types of monopolies.